Good Morning Britain coming up.
Things are getting really heated now. We think this is one of the food vans that was distributing aid, and as you can see, people are just attacking the van now and taking things out the back.
We're in pursuit now around 110 miles an hour of a black Golf because we've just had a member of the public call into base to say that they think the people who got in it had been drinking beforehand and also smoking cannabis. Today we've been given exclusive access at the Port of Dover, where I'll be going to work with those on the front line trying to stop this £100 million a year illegal trade.
Live from ITV Studios in London, this is Good Morning Britain.
Good morning. Our top story this morning. The full horror of the refugee crisis on the Greek island of Kos can be revealed in a special report for Good Morning Britain. As soon as you step off the plane here in Lesbos, you can really see this is an island overwhelmed by the migrant crisis. You can see the beach here just littered with life jackets. We've got an engine from one of the dinghies over there, and this pile has actually accumulated over the last 12 hours alone. And there are volunteers keeping a constant watch of the seas as those boats come over, but they're not from the Greek authorities. They're actually people who've flown in from around the world to try and help these families as they complete that perilous journey and stem the deaths that are turning the sea into an unofficial graveyard. But what happens to those families once they reach these shores? We followed one to find out. We catch up with the Assads at one of the 2 transit camps in Lesbos, but it's already bursting at the seams. Life here is chaotic. People sleep wherever they can and eat very rarely. This is the food queue, around 7,000 people waiting for their one meal a day. In these conditions, it's not long before unrest breaks out. As night falls, exhaustion cools the tension. But the Assads are still queuing in this waiting area between hope and despair. When I got the phone call last night, it was a huge shock. We came out here and driving into Manchester was a completely different experience to usual. I mean, this is the sort of thing we were following. Police cars, bomb disposal squads, ambulances. We know there are around 60 that came in from in and around the area. And the cars, we suddenly realised when we got here, were actually mainly parents desperately trying to come and pick up their children. We spoke to 11-year-old girls who witnessed tonight other kids of their age covered in blood. It is life-changing for them. It's life-destroying for those who won't see their loved ones again. And if you look in front of me here, this is the kind of thing, the kind of rubble they've been searching through, desperately in search of survivors. Looking at it, you think, surely nobody could possibly survive that, and yet they have to believe that they might. Last night, many of the rescuers came up to us and said, I've heard voices. Was it just hope? We hope not. We hope more can be found. And there was a shred of hope in nearby Pescara del Tronto when a 10-year-old girl was plucked out of the rubble there to shrieks of joy from the people who were watching after 17 hours trapped. After a tip-off from campaigners, Good Morning Britain went undercover in 2 Oxford Street stores to see if everything is really as it seems.
So you can see that the fur is tapering at the end, which suggests it's real.
We talked about fur tapering in the piece, so you can see it's quite spiky because it's going narrower at the ends.
Yeah, and this has been cut.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the best way, if you really want to check that it's whether it's real or fake, you can burn some of the hairs. Don't do it in the shop, whatever you do. When you get home, burn a few of the hairs. They will smell like human or animal flesh it's real. They might look cute and fluffy, but as I've been finding out, these adorable puppies are being trafficked for a huge profit.
It's very similar to the drugs trade.
I've just arrived at a quarantine centre for smuggled dogs that would have been destined for the black market. Now, sadly, these dogs are worth a lot of money to these dealers, so security has to be tight. I can't even tell you whereabouts in the country I am. So we'll stop filming for a moment while we go inside.
If they hadn't come into quarantine, they would have either gone back to the country that they had come from, or worst case scenario, they would have been put to sleep.
This is so difficult because all you want to do is pick them up and give them a cuddle. Although these guys will spend Christmas behind bars, essentially, they're the lucky ones.